Welcome to my channel Learn French by Punit. In this live session, we will be learning about the ER ending verbs. So, I will be giving you a list of ER ending verbs, right, with their meanings. Also, in this live session, we are going to make sentences using these verbs. All right. So, without further ado, let's start with our live session. So, just for as a reminder, those who are learning French, those who are beginners, this live session is for them. All right. So, all those who are interested in learning French, you can also subscribe to my channel, Learn French by Punit on YouTube. Hit the like button and press the bell icon, right? And all those who want to learn French and be proficient in the language, they can follow me on other social media networks as well. Okay, so let's start with our live session, right? Learn French by Punit. This is a session for the beginners. Let's start with the live session. ER ending verbs, as you know, they are all the verbs that you see over here. The first one, you see aimer, which means to like. Aimer, which means to like. Now you see the verb aimer, the last two letters are er, right? So all the verbs which are ending in er, as you see here in my list, they are called the first group of verbs. So these verbs are conjugated in a almost in the same manner, all of them, right? For example, aimer, adorer, arriver, brosser, chanter, chercher, commencer, all will be conjugated in the similar manner. However, when we talk about the GER ending verbs where we have G before ER, we have a little peculiarity while conjugation, just a little change. Otherwise, it is also conjugated in the similar manner as we conjugate the other ER ending verbs. All right. So, without further delay, let's start with the verbs and their meanings, and then we will be trying to make sentences using them as well. All right. Now, I would suggest that you keep a pen and a paper in front of you, right? And also try and write all the verbs which I'm going to tell you now. Write all the verbs, write their meanings, and when we are making sentences here, you can also try making on your end, right? So when you are making sentences, there are many things that are going to happen. You are going to learn the conjugation, you are going to learn the meaning of the verb, you are also going to learn the structure of the sentences when you are going to write the sentences, and also try and speak those sentences on your end, right? As we are speaking in the live session here, as I'm going to speak the sentence, I'm going to pronounce the verb, you are going to speak that on your end as well. So that would also help you learn the pronunciation. That would also help you have a clarity in your speech while speaking French. All right. So when we are learning a new language, all these things are to be taken care of, right? All these things are very important. All right. Now, let's start with the first verb over here, which is aimer. Can you say aimer? Aimer, which means to like, or it also means to love. Next is adorer. Adorer, which also means to like, means to love as well, to adore, right? So adorer, which means to like, to love, or it also means to adore. Next is arriver. Arriver, which means to arrive or to reach. So, can you please write the meaning side by side on your end so that you remember it for later? So, arriver means to reach or to arrive. The next is bouger. Bouger. Bouger means to move. Bouger means to move, right? Next is, so wherever we have the OU, right? Whenever we have OU, it produces the oo sound. It produces the oo sound. So it's bouger, bouger, right? Which means to move. Next is brosser, brosser, which means to brush. So that means to brush. Brosser, to brush. The next is chanter. Chanter. Chanter means to sing, right? For example, I sing a song, so you will use the verb chanter for that, and chanter means to sing. Now remember one thing. You are learning a new language, right? So all the consonants, like, they have a different sound, right? So in French we pronounce c as say, right? However, in English we say see. So here when we talk about the verb chante, do you see the ch in the beginning, right? So here ch in English makes the ch sound, right? For example, chair, chest, etc. However, when I talk about French, ch makes the sh sound. Sh, sh. So that would be sh, on, te. Sh, on, te. Chante. Chante, that means to sing. Okay, the next one. Chercher. Chercher, right? Chercher. So again, ch will be producing the sh sound. Er produces the er, chercher. Chercher, that means to search. To search. So the verb is chercher. That means to search. Right? The next one. Commencer. Commencer. So let's break the word. Commencer. Commencer. Commencer means to start or to commence. To start or to commence. Right? The verb is commencer. Commencer. That is to start or to commence, as in English. The next is demander. Again, let's break the word. Demander. Demander, which means to demand or to ask. Right? So the verb is demander. Demander, to demand or to ask. Next is détester. Détester. So let's break the word again. They. Now wherever, so remember, whenever you see E and accent aigu on E, right? That will always produce the A sound. That's the long A sound as in English. Okay. So it's going to be détester. Détester. Détester means to hate or to dislike. Détester means to hate or to dislike. That's détester. Détester, to hate or to dislike. Next one. That's going to be donner. You see, let's break the word again and let's speak that together. Donner. All right. So that becomes donner. Donner means to give. So here, for those who are joining my live session just now, those who have joined my live session just now, for them, it's a reminder that this is a live session for the beginners, right? For the beginners who are learning French for the first time or those who have just started learning French, right? So this is a session where you are going to learn all the ER ending verbs, right? Also, you will be learning how to conjugate the er ending verbs, and you will also be learning how to make a sentence in French, right? So we'll also be discussing about the structure of the sentence, right? How the sentence is to be made, and what are the important things that are to be taken care of while making a sentence, while forming a sentence. So that is what we are going to learn, right? So for those who have just joined in, right, and those who are liking my live session, so just you can hit the like button as well, right? That will keep me motivated. The next one. So the verb here that we discussed is donner, right? Do gives the sound O, do, and then N-N-E-R that becomes donner, which means to give. The next one, écouter, écouter, which means to listen. So the verb is écouter. As I've told you here, E and accent aigu on E will produce the A sound, the long A sound in English. So that would be pronounced as écouter, écouter, which means to listen, right? The next one, it is effacer, effacer, which means to erase, which means to erase. Effacer, effacer, which means to erase. The next is étudier, étudier, which means to study, which means to study. Next is féliciter, féliciter, that means to congratulate, that means to congratulate. Féliciter, that means to congratulate. Next is fêter, fêter, which means to celebrate. Fêter, which means to celebrate. Now, let's learn some more verbs and their meanings, right? The next is gagner. So whenever we have GNE in French, right? Whenever we have GNE in French, it produces the n sound, n, right? It produces n sound. So it would be gagner, 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 which means to earn or to win as well. So we can use the verb gagner in two contexts. One is to earn. For example, I earn 100,000 million, right? So I earn or I win. For both, we can use the verb gagner. Next is jouer. Jouer means to play. So the verb is jouer, jouer, which means to play. For example, my children play with their friends. So I would say, my children, that is, mes enfants, jouent avec ses amis. Right? Mes enfants jouent avec leurs amis. My children play with their friends. So jouer, to play. Next is manger, manger, to eat. Manger, to eat. So manger means to eat. Next is manquer. Manquer means to miss. Okay. So again, manquer can be used for to miss someone, or it can also be used for to miss a bus or to miss a class, right? So we can use manquer in two contexts again, right? So we can consider that this is a multiple meaning verb, right? So manquer means to miss a class or to miss someone. Next is monte. Monte is to climb or to board. For example, I climb the mountain, I can use the verb monte in it, right? Or I board the bus, I can use the verb monte in it, right? So monte means to climb or to board as well. So again, this is a homograph in English, as we say, which is a multiple meaning verb, or a multiple meaning word, right, where monter can be used in different contexts. It has different meanings. The next is nager. Nager is to swim, right? Nager. So again, let's speak that. Let's break the word. Nager. Nager. Nager means to swim. Next one, parler. Parler. To speak. Parler, to speak or to talk. Parler means to speak or to talk. Next is partager. Let's break the word. Partager. Partager, which means to share. For example, I share a chocolate with my friend. So, je partage un chocolat avec mon ami. So, the verb is partager. That means to share, right? Next is regarder, to watch. Regarder, to watch. For example, I watch TV. So that would be I watch television. That would be je regarde la télé. Je regarde la télé. Next is travailler. Let's break it. Travailler. So remember one thing here. When we have I and we have E and we have a double consonant in the middle, right? We do not pronounce that double L, right? So that would be said as travailler. We do not pronounce double L in this case. So let's break the word and speak that together. It would be travailler, right? So double L is not pronounced here, that's silent. So that would be travailler, which means to work. For example, I work in an office. So I would say je travaille dans un bureau, right? I work in an office. Je travaille dans un bureau. I work in the library. So I would say je travaille dans la bibliothèque. Okay? Next is trouver. Trouver. Trouver means to find. Trouver. Again. Trouver. Trouver. Trouver means to find. The next is visiter. Again, let's break the word. Visiter. Visiter. That means to visit. Visiter. To visit. Right? Next is voyager. Let's break it again. Voyager. Voyager. That means to travel. Voyager means to go on a trip or to travel. Voyager. Voyager is to travel. Next is penser. Penser, to think or to reflect. Penser, that means to think or to reflect. Another verb for penser would be réfléchir. Réfléchir. That means to think or to reflect, right? But this is not an ER ending verb. This is a synonym of penser, right? So, but here we are just discussing the ER ending verbs. We are not, just for the sake of knowledge, I'm just mentioning it here, that réfléchir also means, it is a similar meaning word to penser, right? Where penser means to think, to reflect, and the similar meaning word would be réfléchir. Next is marcher. Again, break the word. Marcher. So marcher, which means to walk. Marcher, which means to walk. And here the next is skier. Skier is to ski. Skier, that means to ski, right? Now, these are all for today. Right now, this is a list which I would want you to read, speak, learn the meanings, also try and form sentences with them, right? That would be really helpful for you for in the journey of your learning French, right? And those who haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe to my channel Learn French by Punit on YouTube. Also, you can hit the like button and press the bell icon for future notifications. Now what we are going to do is, now we are going to try and form sentences with some of the verbs here, okay? Before that, also we are going to learn how to conjugate these ER ending verbs in French in present tense, okay? So for those who have just joined my live session, can please hit the like button if you're liking my live session. Also in this live session, now we are going to learn how to conjugate the verbs in present tense, okay, in all the er ending verbs. So when we are writing any er ending verb in a sentence, for example, let's say we are taking the verb parler. What does parler means? That means to speak or to talk, right? We just learned the meaning. Any sentence would have a subject in the beginning of the sentence. It would have a verb, so it can be a subject. Now it can be a pronoun or it can also be a noun, right? So the subject can always be a noun or a pronoun, okay? Plus we have a verb. This is the basic construction of the sentence. We have a verb which we conjugate according to the subject always. Plus we have an object. Object can also be a person, a place, or a thing, right? So this is the basic construction of a sentence in French or in any language. So we have a noun or a subject. We have a subject which can be a noun or which can be a subject pronoun, okay? Then we have the verb, then we have the object, right? Now remember in French here, the verb will always be conjugated according to the subject of the sentence, be it a noun, be it a pronom sujet, right? So pronom sujet, they are different. It's not just je, it can be je, it can be tu, il, elle singular or on, it can be nous, it can be vous, it can be il plural or elle plural. These are called les pronoms sujets. These are called les pronoms sujets, which are the subject pronouns. Now, why are they called subject pronouns? Because they are subjects. They will always come in the beginning of the sentence, or they will be used in the beginning of the sentence, and they are pronouns. Now, pronouns mean that they always help us replace the noun. Okay? They help us replace the noun in order to avoid its repetition. Okay? For example, I'm describing a boy. I'm talking about a boy. The name is Paul, right? Now, will I always say Paul is 17 years old, Paul is a student, Paul is French, Paul can speak four languages? No, I would not repeat his name in the beginning of the sentence every time. My first sentence would be beginning with Paul. However, my other sentences would not begin with Paul. We would begin them with il singular. All right. So here comes the role of the subject pronouns. Je means I. Je means I. Tu means you. Il means he. Elle means she. On means one. Nous means we. Vous means you. And il plural, elle plural mean they. Right? Now, do you see here we have two types of you, tu and vous, right? Now, what is the difference between tu and vous? Tu is always informal, right? And vous is, it can be formal, it can be informal as well, right? So when we are using tu, it will always be used for a singular person and always in an informal setting. However, when we talk about vous, and if I'm talking to one person in the formal setting, I will use vous. But if I'm talking to plural people in the informal setting, I would still be using vous. All right. So this can be used for formal and informal both. All right. Now, so if you're liking my live session, you can give me a thumbs up. That would keep me motivated. Also, let's move forward. So these are all the subjects, right? The subject pronouns. Then comes the verb and then comes the object, where object can be a person, place, or a thing, right? Now, when we talk about the verb here, for example, let's say we are taking the verb parler, which means to speak. It's an er ending verb. How do I conjugate it? For example, I have to say I speak, right? I speak to my friend. So I will be conjugating, to make this sentence, I am conjugating the verb parler with je. or that means I will be writing the conjugated form of the verb parler according to je. How do I conjugate any er ending verb in present tense? We remove the er ending, just leave it, just remove it. Now, what is the leftover part? We would take the leftover part with all the subjects as it is. Okay, that is P-A-R-L, P-A-R-L, right? Now with je we add E. These are the endings that we add every time. Whenever we are conjugating any er ending verb in present tense, these are the endings we add to form the conjugation. Alright? So we would say je parle, tu parles, il parle, elle parle. So with je we add E, tu we add ES, il, elle we add E, nous we add ONS, vous we add EZ, il, elle plural we add ENT. Now, how do we say these conjugations? Let's practice speaking a little bit. Je parle, je parle, tu parles, tu parles, il parle, il parle, elle parle, elle parle, nous parlons, nous parlons, vous parlez, vous parlez, il parle, il parle, elle parle, elle parle. So, what is the meaning? Je parle means I speak. Tu parles, you speak. Il, elle parle, he or she speaks. Nous parlons, we speak. Vous parlez, you speak. Il, elle parle, that means they speak. All right? Now let's assume that we want to make a sentence that I speak to my friend. So how do we say to? I speak is je parle. So now remember here that if I'm forming a sentence in simple present tense, or I'm forming a sentence in present continuous tense, that is I speak or I'm speaking, for both I can use je parle. Okay, so je parle means I speak or I'm speaking both, right? Now let's say I want to say I speak to my friend. Okay, I want to say this, je parle, that is I speak to my friend. So how do I write I speak? We just learned here, it's je parle, right? So I'll say je parle. Now two is written, that's a preposition, so we write a for two. So a means two. Je parle à my friend. My friend would be mon ami, right? So I'll say je parle à mon ami. That means I speak to my friend, right? That is how we will form the sentence. All right. Now let's take another verb. For example, I want to say I like to eat chocolate or a chocolate cake. Okay, let's assume we want to make this sentence. I like to eat chocolate cake. Now, how do we say I like? The verb for like is aimer. We just discussed in the live session today. What is to like? To like is aimer. Now, what do we do here? Again, we conjugate the verb aimer according to je. So, I'll remove the er ending and I will add e to it at the end. So, that becomes j'aime. So, that becomes j'aime. J'aime. Now, to eat is the verb manger. So remember always that whenever we are constructing a sentence, the first verb will always be conjugated according to the subject. We have two verbs here. One is to like and the other one is to eat, right? So conjugate the first verb according to the subject. However, the second verb will not be conjugated. So my sentence would be like this. J'aime manger. What do I like to eat? I like to eat the chocolate cake. J'aime manger le gâteau au chocolat. That means I like to eat the chocolate cake. J'aime manger le gâteau au chocolat. So I have a subject in the sentence. I have verb, right? I have an object. So subject is the one who does the action, right? Then comes the verb, which is the action verb or the action word, and then comes the object on whom the action takes place, right? So my sentence here in this way would be j'aime manger le gâteau au chocolat. That means I like to eat the chocolate cake. So here we have learned two things. One is the construction of the sentence, which is subject plus verb plus object. This is the basic construction. All right. Subject can be a noun, it can be a pronoun. Okay. Now, les pronoms sujets we discussed, which are je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il plural, elle plural. Then comes the verb. And in case of the verbs, if I have one verb in the sentence, the verb will be conjugated according to the subject. Okay. If I have one verb in the sentence, I will conjugate it according to the subject. But if I have two verbs, again, the first verb would be conjugated according to the subject. The second verb will not be conjugated. Okay. So that would be j'aime manger, and then comes the object. Now, object is the one on whom action takes place. So, what am I eating? What do I like to eat? J'aime manger le gâteau au chocolat, which is I like to eat the chocolate cake. So, my action takes place on the chocolate cake. So, that's the object here, right? Now, remember here that object can be a person, a place, or a thing, anything, right? So that's all for today's live session. I hope you enjoyed my live session, and also you must have learned some of the verbs and their meanings, and also um, I was able to clarify your doubts to make how to make sentences and all. So for those who haven't subscribed to my channel yet, they can subscribe to my channel Learn French by Punit on YouTube. Also, this live session would be soon uh, on my YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch my YouTube channel as well, right, for the live session if you want to refer to it later. So that's all for today. See you again. À bientôt.